And thank you, Harley, for taking a break from your difficult media regimen, being the new heavyweight champ of the iDubbbz competition. Join us. I paid for the fight and watched it, and you humiliated that guy. I want to ask you a lot about it. You embarrassed him. Oh, go ahead. Harley's coming in very quiet.
Oh, hello. Is that better?
That's better. Now I can hear you.
Yeah, I was going to say, you stole from a good cause. You are going to hell.
Your bank account.
They did, they did have everything up there right away. Like when the match was done, I was like, what happened here? I wonder if it's on YouTube. I searched it up. I'm like, oh, everything's here.
Yeah.
Everything's here.
There on YouTube.
Yeah, it was all there. I really had to claw my way to victory. My opponent was definitely far more skilled and stronger and larger than I was. Next Creator Clash, they promised me someone smaller and who boxed less. So
that's more fair. Yeah.
No, the truth is, actually, I always think about it. I was like, a part of me wishes that I could have been in Aaron's position to be like, I don't give a fuck. I'll fight that big dumbass. Because I watched stuff on on Game Grumps. He was like, I'm not gonna lose to fucking Harley. And I was like, man, I wish, because I'm not. I wish my balls were that big. Like, because the difference in size would have been me fighting someone who's like 6'10" and 325 pounds. So that's like the Mountain from Game of Thrones. And there's no way, I'm not going to lose to the Mountain from Game of Thrones. But like Aaron did that to me. And truth is, he went in there and he came at me like a man. And he was pretty sick. He was sick. So I don't think it that he was humiliated at all.
Ill?
But I do think he was mentally ill.
No, you said he was sick, and I'm old. It has so many meanings now.
Oh, I meant he was sick, bro. Sick kickflip.
Okay.
I like that you said ill. I was mentally ill. I questioned it. Leading up to it, I was tripping. I was like, yo, this guy's obviously secretly been boxing for 5 years, or he's fucking crazy. Because he was literally he was all about it. He was they told me, they were like, yeah, Aaron wanted you. Aaron was down. He was seriously about it.
His eyes were too big for his stomach.
Yeah. Okay, all that's true. Harley beat him soundly, but at you know what I think he is? I think he's brave. And I kind of tip the hat to that guy. Dude, I don't want to get in the boxing ring with you. You're ginormous. It'd be a rough day.
The people that were really crazy there at the Creator Clash were the people that draw cartoons. As a job, they just happened to be the wildest bunch of people that I've seen.
That makes sense when you think about it. What are they being commissioned to draw? Probably horrific porn images that they have no interest in.
Yeah. They came in and well, actually, also the craziest person that was there was Michael Reeves. You know Michael Reeves? Mm-hmm. He was he was in the lightweight match. I keep doing this because this is where he is. When I met him, but he was at one point I was walking behind him and he was walking somewhere. And I was with my cousin. I was like, yo, Michael Reeves is fucking bigger than us right now. Just look at him. And he was walking just such a serious walk. And he was a little guy, me and him, we look like we're part of a sick balanced RPG party. And he's walking and I'm I went up to him and I was like, yeah, there he is. I was like, are you nervous about your fight at all? And he was like, no. I'm like, what are you going to do? He's like, what do you mean? I'm going to go in there. I'm going to beat his ass. And I was like, okay, what if you go in there and lose? He's like, then I'll go home and beat the shit out of my dad. And I was like, I like this guy.
You know who's rooting for him the hardest?
His dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. He was shook.
Please beat that guy up, Michael.
Whenever I did boxing, I did you hit the pads and then you spar and you're sparring is nothing like hitting the pads. And it's not I clawed my way to a victory, but going into the ring and fighting is completely different. Also, I didn't expect it to do to my nerves what it did. And when I went back, I won't say who, but some people were crying. People that won their match were crying in the locker room. They were overwhelmed. It was just crazy. Because I'm there, I'm like, damn, you do stuff on stage a lot, or you perform in front of people or whatever it is, but going out and punching and getting punched and having another guy's blood on you, I guess, when you're not a combat sports fan, he was shook. We had people lying in the back with oxygen and stuff like that. And you know what? I didn't pay the ultimate boxing price of knowing what it's like to go 5 rounds and like really fight for it. And some of those guys did. Like AB and Hundar, like they had like their fight was like crazy. iDubbbz's fight was really crazy too.
That guy iDubbbz fought. I didn't know anything about Dr. Mike, but
yeah, because you're not like a hot girl.
Yeah, I'm not a hot girl.
Girls, that's his demo. Hot girls.
That dude's ripped. He's fit. He's a doctor, so he's smart. And
he's the guy that does all the sports injury videos, right? Dr. Mike. I think I've seen him a lot.
Oh,
he touched gloves with iDubbbz and then popped him right away.
Yeah,
I saw that. That was great.
Actually really liked that a lot. I thought that was really cool. People were like mad about that. I'm like, that's great. I feel like he taught him a lesson there. Yeah. And like, don't worry about iDubbbz. That's the one thing you shouldn't do is worry about iDubbbz. Like, I've never seen a guy like run this whole business, this whole event, do this whole thing, train for the fight with Dr. Mike, who's been boxing longer, and keep his composure and cool through all of it. Like, he really was. He was just sick, and like Anissa was sick. They were like 2 of the best people I've ever done any sort of business with. Any sort of collaborative thing with whatever, you know what I mean?
Seems like it was just like doing more.
Yeah, he should. I feel like he should do more.
Dude, boxing's scary as fuck. Fighting's scary as fuck. I don't know how many of our listeners have actually been in a fight. Even the high school fight where you knew it was coming 5 hours in advance and the guy was going to be fucking waiting for you at the bike rack. It's worse. No, this is the same thing, except that it's 2 months long. It's 2 months worth of training, knowing that fuck is training too. He wants to win just like you do. You're in the gym, nervous and anxious and getting ready for this thing, knowing that he is also in this same position, getting ready for you, and it looms over you, it hangs over you. It's gotta there's a real bravery that goes into this, and I sort of tip my hat to anyone who's done it. Except Diego Sanchez, who's
the people that do it. The people that do it for a job, also, like, I'm just like, it's your livelihood and someone's trying to take it, and you go in there with like that much more savagery than YouTubers do, or we're like, it's for a good cause, or I'm getting a bag. Like, boxers go in there and they're like, this is my way out. So 2 guys fighting with that as their motivation is really crazy to me. And like, I didn't even scratch the surface.
I want to jump in. There's a Taylor, help me. A hockey enforcer. I think he played for the Canadians, maybe the Habs, who the fuck knows. And there was a movie done on him. I'll know his name if you tell it to me. I
don't know.
You don't know? Oh, anyway, there was a documentary done on him, and he talked about what it's like. He's like, I'm an enforcer. That team has an enforcer who's worthy of me. There's going to be 25,000 people there tonight expecting us to face off. And he's like, I get the same vibes, the same butterflies that you did in 10th grade when you knew that you were going to have to face off against some guy. Like, it's like it messes with your head, and it happens so much. It impacts your mental state. And it was like, fuck, really? I thought this was as casual for you as a 1040 was for me in my accounting days. Like, I thought this was no big deal. Apparently, even if you're a real fighter, fights are scary.
Dude, what I liked about your actual fighting when I watched it was like, you had this like old gentleman style of like standing erect, and you clearly took Sam's message of like, don't let that, like, keep that fucker at range, like exhaust him with your long ass arms. And you just did that, like, consistently popping him every so often. You could see him getting tired, like in real time.
The second round much better than the first round.
Yeah,
the first round I was goofing around a bit. I don't know, I was just lost train of thought. And then my coach was just like, yeah, like the same thing Sam said. Like, I actually got a couple messages from people being like, just jab him. I was never meant to uppercut. I was never going to uppercut. But he did things that, like, just by instinct, you throw an uppercut. Like, I'm not like good at uppercuts, or I never went in this with like haymakers and uppercuts. Like, I'm going to knock someone out. I'm like, I'll just jab. I learned how to jab like for literally like the 5 rounds. I could have done that the whole time. Yeah, if I really got tired, I actually could switch to southpaw and jab with that hand. Like, I was never going to not jab. But
what made you want to uppercut? What'd you see?
I think someone told Aaron, maybe his coach, was like, go in there and fuck his stomach up. Because when I watched the video back, I'm like, wow, how did I not notice that? There's times where he's in there and he's like, he'll like punch me once or something, and I'm like standing there and I like uppercut because I don't have any other angle. Yeah,
okay, so close.
Yeah, and then just the getting offered to box again.
I didn't fully get it. Can you answer again? What made you want to uppercut? What look did he give you that made you?
No, he ducked. He ducked. He like goes in and like goes down, and he's like, punching your stomach.
Right.
And you're like me. You're standing, so you're like, the only thing you could do is like punch from under. It's the only thing I could do.
Okay.
Can you hammer strike in boxing? Is that?
Oh yeah, elbow.
Oh, you mean Sam's downer cut?
Well, no, not with an elbow. With the
no, sometimes gloves even have like a white front that you have to hit with that part.
Oh, okay. I don't know.
Conor McGregor was actually getting some. I remember him doing some like hammer strikes on remember when he did the boxing match with Floyd? Yeah. He was doing some like on the back of Floyd's head and stuff. That he kept doing it. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
No, I really enjoyed watching your match. I didn't know what it was going to be. I sent you that text message like 3 a.m. I was in the gym and I was watching it a second time. I was like, Harley, fuck that guy up. That guy. I hope everybody got paid well, because that guy took a bit of a beating that night. It was fun to watch. You did a great job. But the best part of it all was the call out at the end. Like regardless of if Dr. Disrespect has any interest in doing some silly boxing thing, like you looked cool and you looked you gave him his props, which made you look even cooler. And it was a perfect like post fight, grab the mic and get rowdy kind of thing. You were respectful and at the same time you're entertaining and fun. It was great. Loved it.
Yeah, it was a good fight. You could see by the end of it, like you were 1,000,000% in control of it, and you could see you like deciding to not go as hard as you could have.
Oh, there's 2 times where I watched it back and I saw and I was like, oh, I stopped right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like for no other reason than I just stopped because I was like, his hands were down. And I literally, there was like 2 instances where I was like, oh, I don't want to like fuck him. I weigh so much more. And I do feel like I trained harder. So I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. And I thought it twice, but I took a couple like of his punches on the side of the head or on the back. And I was like, I'm not a good enough boxer to like be able to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, you'll see I hit him with this ugly ass, weak ass rock'em sock'em. I'm just like, but. And it's just like, I was just showing the ref, like every one of these are a punch and each one could be hard, but none of them are hard, but they're all here. And he's still turtled. I was like, it's like 12 shots in a row. Please stop this. I'm sick. I'm sick. There's blood.
I'm gonna throw up.
There's blood here. I'm sick. There's blood. I'm not a combat sports guy. I know that. Like I know that's another thing why like the boxing match I passed on and it was like pretty good money. I was just like paid double that and then but like for the most part like it would have to be an incentive like very high because I don't want to like I didn't like boxing. I love boxing. Boxing was sick. But like punching a guy and seeing him bleed was not like that didn't get me all bricked up, you know?
Yeah.
Like
not even a little bit. You didn't get a little chub.
No, like my dick got smaller and I can't afford it to get smaller. Trust me, my body's so big. Like anything smaller looks weird. It already looks weird. But like so I'm there and there's blood and I'm like, I don't know about this. Why am I here?
Why am I here?
I'm mad at him. I'm like, why are you here?
I should have gotten high before I agreed to this, and high Harley would have shut it down.
Harley fight, and he kept his eyes open the whole fight. Like you look like a fighter in there.
You know, there were you're right for pointing that out because and I hate pointing things out in boxing because I don't know shit about boxing, but that took a long time for me to do what you're saying. That was a big issue, and at the very beginning. After I punched Aaron once or twice, I fainted and he closed his eyes and turned his head. And instantly I was like,
as you do.
Yeah.
I was like, he's like a month and a half or 2 months behind me in training.
Yeah.
Cause like 2 months ago, that's how close we were. 2 months ago, I did that. And like my coach would do that. And like, then he'd slap me in the face.
Yeah.
Like we would do that. He would like go to do that. And I would do that, you know, even like when I came back from training with Sam. Like I would do this, you flinch. And it's so crazy you pointed out because I don't know if you noticed, nobody used feints the entire time at the Creator Clash except me. No one used them. I was like shocked because I thought like if you go home and you think about boxing, you're like, well, I can punch my left hand. Yeah,
while you tell this story, a feint for the listeners is when you kind of like, you know, half punch, like pretend you're going to punch, and it gives you a vibe as to what the reaction is going to be, right? So if I were to really throw a jab, you know, he's going to go like that, but I can go like that and get a tell. Be like, aha,
Yeah.
this is his reaction to my feint. Now I know what to actually do if I throw a real one.
And that's kind of like half of boxing. Well, for only me at my level, like what I've done, which is nothing at all. But like I was like, I could either punch with my left, I could punch with my right, or I can pretend to punch with either of those. You really don't have anything else. So I was like, you know, I didn't expect people to do like, you know, side steps or like things like that. People went in and people punched and people held their fists up and they tried to pick their punches, but no one really like faked it. No one really did the feint moves. And I was like, so surprised as every match went on, you know? And then I think maybe they know, because like when I feinted on Aaron, I watched the fight back. He started to feint back at me, which I was like, oh, so maybe he wasn't thinking about it before, you know?
You're training him.
Yeah, it was
like,
happening. Well, a couple of times I didn't step up to him a couple times. I thought his arms were down. Like his arms were like here. And I was at a distance where I was like, oh, I could reach and punch you in the face right now. And I'm like waited for his hands to go up. And then we went at it again. And you know what? That could have all backfired, because Aaron, he doesn't punch. Like he's not like, his punches aren't a lost cause. You know, like I got hit on the side of the head and I was like, oh, if that got me like across the nose, like I broke my nose and then tomorrow sucks. Cause why? Because why?
Right. Yeah, he's dangerous.
A YouTube boxing thing.
You're dangerous, Harley. You look like a fighter to me. Like you were fainting, your eyes were open, your posture was right. And I'm like, that's always my fear. Like they're going to go in there and they're going to be like, I saw Woody fight and I've compared him to Floyd Mayweather and fuck Woody's slow. And I'm like, all right, well, you're right, kind of, but you're used to watching Floyd, you know, like, but I was looking at you and I'm like, this guy, he has courage. His eyes are open. He's using feints. He's managing his energy. Like that's what I saw when I watched you fight. And I was like, fuck, Harley's a problem. I don't want to.
That like
Harley, if
like,
you see me, please don't hit me. I don't want
that turn of the century style. I liked that. Yeah, put up your dukes. Yeah,
because the biggest fear isn't losing, right? It's embarrassing.
It's being seen with your shirt off. Yeah.
Yes.
That was a big thing,
right? Same thing.
That was a big deal to Aaron and I, actually, the shirt on thing.
Dude, unironically, that would be one of my main things. I'd be like, well, yeah, I'd probably get my ass beat, but I'm gonna get my ass beat fat.
Exactly. We do the first. PKA does the first ever shirts and skins match.
Why did I have to be skins?
Let's coin.
This is just bullshit.
This is trash. Costume, triple XL Carhartt shirt for no reason.
Yeah, no, Harley, you were anything but embarrassing. Like you
exactly.
Yeah, you did great, man.
Great.
Thank you. I was worried.
That's what I was getting at. Yeah, you represented yourself really well from beginning to end. There was nothing about what. Again, my fear would be embarrassment. It's like because I'm a fan of combat sports. I've seen so many walkouts. It's important to me as a fan that you don't stumble on the way out or anything.
Oh my god!
Also,
everyone's fear,
or that you don't look scared. Like they start that camera back like an inch out of their dressing room. You got to get your game face on before you even open the fucking door.
You got to be mean mugging ready.
There's a million people looking at you through that fucking lens, like weighing and measuring you, and their fandom is dependent upon like how hard they think you look. Maybe I know when I see somebody come out and they look like a bitch, I'm like, I'm a fan of the other guy. That guy looks scared, like he looks so scared. They're like, well, it's little Mikey's first time ever.
Have you heard the stories of GSP?
Remind me.
So GSP, George St. Pierre, for people who don't know, was one of the greatest UFC fighters ever. He fought at 170, and he'd be in the back room. I wish I could do his French Canadian accent.
Oh, it's so good.
He's like, I don't know why I do this. It's so scary. It's dangerous. I really don't even want to fight right now. I'm not mad at him at all. He's fine. Could we just agree not to? It's like, dude, you are the baddest motherfucker at 170 who has ever walked this planet. And you know, he's scared. And he's got a formidable opponent. He was champion, it seemed like, for most of his career. So everyone he fought was very good.
It's scary. It's so scary. I got some UPS package delivered earlier, and they're kind of expensive. It's gym equipment, and but I didn't want to like take them in, so I'm leaving them on my step. And but I heard something outside, and my head. I was like napping on the couch like 3 hours before the show, and I heard some rustling outside. In my head, in my half dream state, there were porch bandits rifling through my cup. And I got up with the intention of fighting. And I like ran to the door and like whipped it up. And I'm like, it's time to fight for my gear. It's the wind, of course.
Lunatic.
but I'm in that doorway like, ah.
You're all trend up. You're just
I'd already like ripped my clothing off. There was nobody there. But I was so scared. I can't imagine like the buildup would be the worst part to me because I think I'd get a fucking ulcer. Like when something is like gonna happen now, I can maybe compartmentalize that a little bit. Not great. I have panic attacks, but when something is months away, like when I had that trial and all that legal shit like looming, when it's looming, it is you can't get rid of it. It's like being wet and not being able to get dry. It's just always there on you. It's just always like in the back of your mind, a little cold, wet, damp bullshit that you can't really wrap your hands around.
Mm-hmm.
That's how a fight coming up, I think, would feel to me. And like your point of like, you're in the gym working out, and you think like he is too. I would be so obsessive if I had an opponent. I would be so likely to be like, we're gonna have to go to 2-a-days. Like there's no way. And I feel like by the end we'd be like, he might be doing 2-a-days. He could be. There's no way he's doing 3.
Can we do this? Can we make it so that my opponent doesn't know he's my opponent until the day before the fight?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I want.
God. I would like it more if it was a secret, like who your opponent was. That would be interesting.
You're talking about stress. That would be more stressful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, you like walk out and you're like, now you're fighting the Bradley Martin twins.
Yeah. 2 at once. Yeah.